Sound test. Let's make sure that this time my microphone doesn't suddenly drop in voice. Yeah, seems good. Hi, Donut Master. I see you were the first here. Can I start by complaining about the software again? So recently I complained a lot about the microphone settings this time. So today I connected my TV to the computer. I need to do something. And then later the displaying to TV was turned off. I started OBS to start streaming, and OBS couldn't capture my main monitor. It kept switching to my side monitor. And it already happened once, I remember, like a couple of months ago. And it seems that when the TV is connected via HDMI, then I cannot in OBS choose the everything else other than one, let's say, main or side monitor connected via DisplayPort. So if I use HDMI cable for anything, then only one of many display port entries works. Stupid software. Okay, I hope that the sound is fine. Okay, so we're live Twitch, YouTube, Codeforces. We have a choice between few contests. Was this one downvoted because one hard problem turned out to be existing and they needed to drop Division 1? Do I remember correctly? We have a choice between doing Division 2 or maybe Division 3. Though I feel like first Division 3 problems are usually not very beneficial even for the stream, right? So maybe it's better to do Division 2 generally? Or Division 3 and really rush for the first problem? Okay, so we have this. What should I do? What about this one? If it's by red authors, then maybe it's generally good. Isn't Division 2 hard? Division 2 is easier than Division 1. 1033, possibly the setters were cheaters. And maybe you shared beforehand. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that, something about the Telegram group. But also a tester could leak it, right? If the problems leak before the contest, then it doesn't mean necessarily that it's the authors. Could be the testers. Yeah, Java programmers will struggle on Codeforces. I'm not going to do CSES problems every day. My plan is that for weekend streams I will try to make them more, well, generally better. Everyday streams, just some more random stuff. Maybe CSES problems as well, but it's more like it will be here solving a couple of problems, here solving a couple of problems. In particular, it's not really viable to do what I did with introductory problems with all the categories. Why is my internet so slow? Maybe just the website issue. Okay, let me log in. So previous to streams I did introductory problems into streams, but you cannot do something similar for other topics because they are harder and more time consuming, right? So maybe I will do geometry, those remaining problems, in 2 streams or so, but normally you will need many streams, or maybe sliding window, it might be easy, not sure. So I think I can do CSES problems, but it will be maybe one stream is enough to solve let's say, I don't know, in math, maybe those 5 problems. But don't expect what I did for intro problems, where I could actually solve 12 in 2 hours with explanation. Topcoder doesn't exist anymore, so Codeforces versus AdCoder for practice, mix them. Okay, so today, let's choose the contest for today. I'm tempted to do this one because it was by red authors, which there is some correlation of the quality. So let's see. I already solved this. Just fine, maybe. Oh, but then only those 2 is what we can solve. This one might be too hard, so maybe not. Educational round 179. What about this one? Is the nothing downvoted? Plus 150 plus something. Should we do this? Thousand Division 2. Was 1000 Division 2 special, or it was a normal round? What was special about the 1000 round? I'm tempted to do this unless somebody convinces me otherwise. So most likely we will do EDU 179. And a couple of updates before we start. Yes, the IOI camp starts tomorrow. 179 is good. Great then. IOI camp starts tomorrow. So this today is basically your last chance to register. You will find it on Codeforces. If you are a participant of IOI or some other regional international Olympiad, you can join, and it's free. The DP classes, there is still registration going on. Again, on Codeforces you will find it. Basically, when I say that you will find it, most likely you want to just go through my blogs, so that there you will find it. And I'm thinking about this issue that during the first few minutes of the stream people are showing up, so maybe I should always for the first 10 to 15 minutes just talk with the chat, so always this will be our Q&A. Yeah, and it's what is happening right now, but more well, like with a timer. Imagine that, let's say, yeah, just for a moment. Here there is timer. So I think starting maybe from the next stream, there will be a timer somewhere, and I will make the chat bigger because it will mainly be about talking with the chat. So half the screen will be the timer, me, and the chat. We'll for like 10 minutes usually just talk without starting problem solving, and then we will start the stream. I think that's the plan. No, ICPC participants not allowed for the IOI camp. IOI camp is for high schoolers and below. Oh yeah, the timer, that was too big. I will not cover half of the camera with the timer. I think we can start. So it will be educational round 179. I pasted the link to the full contest. We'll start with energy crystals. So this. There are 3 crystals numbered 1 to 3. The energy level of IV crystal is AI. Initially all discharged, energy 0. They need to be charged to exactly X. In one action, so there are 3 values starting as 0, each of them needs to become X. In one action you can increase the energy level of any crystal by any positive amount. However, they are synchronized and there is some condition needed. For each pair of crystals, it must hold this. One is at least half of the other. It reminds me a little bit about conditions in Monopoly. In Monopoly, when you need to build houses or hotels, also it needs to be in some way balanced. So I think I would maybe make this statement about Monopoly. What is the minimum number of fractions required to charge all the crystals? Okay, so we start from 0, 0, 0. Let's say I want to reach target is 10. Then I cannot immediately jump to 10. AI is greater or equal than half. So I cannot do this immediately, because then 0 is not greater or equal half of that. I need to start from this, then another 0 change into 1. Now this 0 needs to increase to at most, what, 3? Right? Because half of 3 is 1, so this is okay. Yeah. Then the 1 still will limit us, so it's 3, 3. Then this will change into 7, 3, 3, and so on. Okay. So there are two operations changing from 0 to 1, then two operations changing into 3, two operations changing into 7, and so on. Always I can say that I change the smallest number. And do I want to do it automatically? I wonder if we should simulate this at all. But I think that's easiest. I'm going to just simulate it. Alternative would be to compute something like the logarithm of this. Because it's clear that if you want to get all 7s or lower, then you need this one more operation here and one more operation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With 7 operations you can get all 7s. Then with 2 more operations you can get all 15s. Okay, that sounds better. So 3 operations to get 1, 1, 1. Then I think that many. So 5 operations to get 3, 3, 3. 7 operations to get 7, 7, 7, and so on. Let us read X. Now I need to find such a power of 2. Can be is equal to 1. Operations equals 3. So this is what I can get in 3 operations. While what I can get is smaller than the target, I multiply by 2 and add 1. And operations increases by 2. Okay. So I don't actually simulate this one by one, though I could. We could just implement the logic of always find the smallest element. 3, 7, 9, 23, 31, yeah. I think that this sample test is weak on purpose. All the outputs are odd. Oh no, sorry. I'm stupid. I'm stupid because the answer starts as 3 and we always increase by 2, so obviously it needs to be odd. Apparently never the answer is even. Will you also do topic-wise problems too in the future, like problems on segment 3? Yes, I will, on weekends. On the weekdays, I'm going to just solve recent problems. Fibonacci cubes. Also on weekdays, maybe sometimes I will grab a couple of consecutive problems from CSES, but it will not be just a full section like I did recently for intro problems. There are n Fibonacci cubes. There is visualization. Where the side of I cube is f of I, so f Fibonacci number. we define like this: 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. Also empty boxes, each with some width, length, and height. For each box, you need to determine whether all the cubes can fit inside the box. So boxes are like queries. Sides of cubes are parallel to sides of the box, so you cannot rotate. Otherwise, it would be crazy hard geometry problem in 3D. Every cube must be placed either on the bottom of the box or on top of other cubes. Okay. And they need to be sorted. But I can place two cubes next to each other. Yeah. Okay, it must be important that those are Fibonacci numbers. So it seems that if the biggest can fit and the next smaller can fit on the top of it, I'm guessing that everything else can fit as well. It might be hard to represent in 3D, but I think we can draw that in 2D. So my guess is that we will only always care about two biggest boxes. Should a complete beginner do this stuff start at division 2? I'm guessing that if you're a complete beginner, then division 2 problems will be too hard for you, but you will realize that, right? If you try something and it seems too difficult, you cannot do it, then you can drop down to like division 3, try other problems. You said to mix adcoder and code forces. Can you give example? I mean, solve some problems from one and some from the other. Let's think about it in 2 dimensions for a moment. So it will be like view from the side. If you have 13 by 13 box or square, on the top of it you have 8 by 8, 8 by 8. Then the next, which is 5 by 5, will fit here automatically. It cannot not fit. Then the 3 by 3 can fit here. Not a square, but still you get the point. 3 by 3. Then 2 by 2 will fit here. And 1 by 1 automatically fits here. So into the if you're given such a container where you want to place the stuff that the biggest box and the second biggest box fit, then automatically everything else will fit, because it will fit in that remaining part just next to the second biggest box. So the conditions are that the biggest box needs to fit in terms of width and the other dimension, the depth, and then for height the sum of two biggest needs to be okay. That's the condition. I actually like this problem. Among the division 2b problems, I think this one is quite nice, because there is some analysis that seems simple. Well, you can guess it, that's maybe a bad thing. But then there is still some implementation. It's not just few ifs, because you need to find the Fibo values. N is small, so no overflows possible. I expected that n can be huge. And if those values were in Fibonacci numbers, then even for n up to 10 it would be a hard problem, because I think it would be some kind of backtracking. Instead of m, I prefer to use q for the queries. For each test case we have this, and then there are queries like that. So for every query, this is a short way of typing repeat q times. For every query, read width, length, height. First I'm going to find those two biggest boxes. N is at least 2, so always there are two biggest boxes. I need first 10 Fibonacci values. Fibo of 1 is 1, Fibo of 2 is 2, like they defined in the statement. Well, let's go with flexible code, it will go up to n. Fibo of I is sum of the previous two. And then for every query, what do? We check if two biggest boxes will fit by height. And I want to check that the biggest box fits by width and depth. If so, then output yes, else output no. At the end of a test case, new line. Oops, that's not correct. Maybe it's because of the rotations. I assume that we will stack vertically, while we can also put the other box next to it. So I think I want this height to be the biggest of the values. I will put here maximum of this. So maximum will be the height. I think that, right, because if it's horizontal, it will be just next to it. I think the logic will still hold. And this biggest box, it needs to fit in every direction, so, or every dimension, so I will just say that it cannot exceed the minimum. The sum of the two fits in maximum in the biggest dimension, and the biggest box itself fits in the minimum because it needs to fit in every dimension. Okay, now the sample test works. Do I participate in CodeChef? No. Do they still have high quality Division 1 rounds? Well, I don't even participate in Codeforces really, and I would obviously prioritize Codeforces over CodeChef, because in Codeforces I know that there are multiple experienced, strong people who coordinate this. And if there is somebody who is experienced and has nice problems, by default they will go to Codeforces. So on Codeforces I expect high quality problems. Of course, at Coder is even different. So this is, by the way, 2 seconds. And my runtime is 700 milliseconds, which is quite high for such a task. Usually there is bigger leeway in easy tasks. And I wonder if it's because of the way I print, because I output many characters one at a time. So maybe it would be faster to create a string and output at once. I just want to see. Here add a 1. Here add a 0. And then output string. That should be a bottleneck. Oh, and I also read. Maybe reading is the bottleneck. If so, one more thing I will do is type those 2 magical lines that speed up syn and cout. It got faster. What about this? I remember that one of those 2 lines is unnecessary, but don't remember which one. This is what you need to type if you use syn and cout in C++, and there is big input or big output. Okay, it was about that. Now I wonder if I moved back to printing characters one at a time. Now, do note that I didn't need those optimizations. The code was good enough. And you don't get more points for being faster, as long as you fit in time limit. The time limit was 2 seconds, and my first submission worked. I'm just experimenting. Why not using fast I/O? Because it's unnecessary. Cout tie 0 is not useful. But what about syn tie 0? Okay. So there is no difference. Once this is applied, then there is here no difference between outputting characters one by one versus collecting a string and outputting all at the same time. What's the difference? Can we not consider both to be one operation? Oh no, the reading and printing is way slower than normal operations. When you, let's say, when you type something like this is just an operation that CPU needs to perform, and also usually it has low constant factor, it's good for memory, stuff like that. But when you need to output something, let's say you need to output X, especially if it's a long string or number, but even if it's something small, then this either is displayed to a screen or, well, usually really it's saved to some kind of buffer and then to a file, which are way heavier operations. Printing is, I think, multiple times slower than a standard operation like adding two numbers. So yeah, cout, it is constant time, but it's significantly slower. And what is way slower is actually this, I think, here, because we read a lot of numbers, and you can argue that reading number x is of log of x. Usually we don't treat it like that, but number x is of length logarithm of x, right? If number is 10 to 9th power, it has 9 digits, or 10. So decimal logarithm is the length of a number, so this is closer to time complexity of reading, not constant. Regarding this question, can you give a hint to yesterday's operations problems? So for those of you who know that I'm going to discuss that problem eventually, it's a hard problem. The hint is, so don't listen to the next minute if you don't want a hint. The hint is that those are graph-related operations. Think in what graph algorithm you're doing such an operation. It's something like the value at j you assign to minimum or maximum of itself, comma something else plus some kind of extra value related to this operation. And this is, I think, I. Think in what graph algorithms this happens, and yeah, this is a graph problem. Okay, hint over. CodeDev also said, your string also allocates on the other solution you did. You know size of string is q, you could allocate only once. Sure, but I think outputting pushbacking to a string wasn't that much of a bottleneck compared to printing at the end anyway. So, yeah, but you're right, of course. Though vector of characters is not as heavy as vector of ints. So I think that adding single character to a string, doing that multiple times, is not that much different from creating one long string first and then filling. Okay, equal values, third problem. You're given an array with n numbers. In one operation, you can do one of the following actions. I wonder if nowadays, if you ask ChatGPT generate a new problem for code forces, it will most of the time do something with operations. What is time complexity of sin after optimization? Just, okay, you should assume that it's constant. It's okay to assume that it's constant. You will not get time limit exceeded because of that. That being said, another thing is that optimization is good because it improves the constant factor. The operations become faster a little bit. Choose a position I and make all elements to the left of it equal to AI. The cost of such operation is this. So you can change prefix into values AI, and you pay AI for every element you change. Okay, I will write this down. You can choose prefix of length L and change all elements to AI. Oh, but it's important. Okay. Two elements, well, maybe let's say this. For the cost, L times this. If 5 elements you're changing into value 100, you will pay 500. And same, you can choose suffix of length L and change all elements to A of n minus L. Yeah, for the cost L times A of this. That's another way to phrase this. The elements affected by an operation may already be equal to that, but still you pay the cost. You're allowed to perform any number of operations. What is the minimum total cost to make all elements of the array equal? Will we usually choose the smallest value? When do we not just choose one value and say that I'm modifying this and modifying that? Yeah, I need to analyze samples. So you see, this is actually a problem where I would usually look at the sample test, because after reading I'm thinking it should be optimal to just find the minimum and change all the remaining elements to it. Maybe if there is a block of consecutive minima, then you don't need to work with all of them. So let's see. So my theory is that here you choose a 1 and you pay the cost of changing those into 1. Here it's a block of 1s. Here you choose 4 and you pay the cost of changing that and changing that. But now, this is not divisible by 4. So I think what we do instead, we choose this block of 5s, I'm guessing, and we change 1 element and those 6 elements, so 7 in total. Okay, that's good. Now you see, I didn't come up with that, but the sample test showed me. Not necessarily the minimum is optimal. Sometimes there is another value that appears a lot of times in a row. Not in a row is useless, because if there is 5 here and then another 5s there, I still need to modify those middle elements into 5, and when choosing some 5 and changing this suffix into 5s, I pay for changing those 5s into 5s. So it was useless that those are here. The solution is that for every block of equal elements, we consider changing everything else to this element. The most basic problem, by the way, that where you can practice this finding blocks is this one. We did it a few days ago in CSES. It's given a string, find the longest block of equal values. This is the same, just with some extra steps. Read the input, and then what? Block equals 0 while I plus 1 exists and 2 consecutive elements are equal. I plus plus block plus plus block initially 1. I found some consecutive values that are equal. Now the remaining values I need to change into AI with this cost. Answer should be minimized with U. Initially answer is infinity, and I think we need to use long longs. $3035. I very much like the solution here. I'm not a fan of the problem statement, but the niceness of the solution is like, for this slot in a contest, it's, I think, 9 out of 10. I very much like this, and I would recommend it to everybody to practice using problems like this one, where there is some analysis, You might have incorrect idea, which is great. Actually, maybe even this problem for practice would be greater without that sample test. Because when you practice, it's very good to fail because of some wrong solutions. I mean, you can get annoyed by that, but you train this way. So, nice problem. I also like the previous problem, so nice to the author. Who created this? Maybe here? This is 179. Felix Arg. Kudos to him. 1L times X looks better than long. I mean, this gets colored, so it's easier for me to see. This doesn't get colored, so it's harder to see. But whatever. You can type 1LL times, it's fine. Creating a schedule. A long statement. Long statement, some big values in the examples. Okay, so far I don't like it. Let's see. Creating a schedule. Was able to solve CD at my first try in this contest. I don't know your level normally, but then congrats. Though often doing something at first try is correlated with strength of the samples. So maybe it was choice of the problem setter that those who solve a problem solve it first try. No, I'm not a software engineer. New semester, that's a hard word. Semester. It's about to begin, and it is necessary to create a schedule for the first day. N groups and M classrooms. 6 classes on the first day, and the cave class. So it's synchronized. So it just means that first class, it's let's say from 8 to 9 a.m., then from 9 to 10 a.m. and so on. Though the sentence is a little bit confusing. Each class must be held in a classroom. There cannot be classes for more than one group in the same classroom. Each classroom has an index, at least 3 digits, and all digits of this index, except for the last 2, indicate the floor where it's located. For example, this is on 4th floor, this is on that floor. Okay. Now I understand why the example used so big values. Yes, I will sometimes participate in contests, and AI will keep getting better at replacing programmers. Between floors, one can move by stairs. Floor 10 to 7th is the top floor. Create the schedule so that students would move as much as possible. Okay. But what is given in the input? Number of groups and classrooms. Indices of available classrooms. This was top floor. Okay. Numbers of classrooms pairwise distinct. Sum of m small. Number of groups, number of classrooms. And 6 classes per day. Okay, I hate the statement and the idea for this problem. Too long to... Maybe hate is a big word. I don't like it. I'm guessing that it will be greedy. When I was saying the sentence, I'm guessing that it will be greedy. My eyes went directly here to the problem tags. Maybe I should... I don't know if I want to turn them off for the streams. I normally need them because I often choose problems for students, and I'm looking via tags. When I see a problem, I want to look at the tags. I'm not sure. But when I started saying that it should be greedy, I didn't see it yet. Okay, so I think that we can take any group and we can just say start from the bottom floor, then move to the top floor, bottom, top, and so on. And it seems easiest that there will be another group that will alternate the other way around. Otherwise it would be tricky to make sure everything is correct. But if another group say top, bottom, then two groups will just exchange the classrooms. Let's look at an example. If those classrooms are available, then maybe this example is better. Then I see, for example, 290, I think is the minimum. So I will say that first group will move from 290 to the maximum, which is 479, then 290, 479, 290, 479, and so on. Second group will move the opposite. This is how easily I can handle two groups and two classrooms, and I can forget about them. Third and fourth group will get the next two available classrooms. There might be a case that there will be the last group that takes just the middle classroom and they do not move at all, but I don't think we can do anything better. Right? The proof of correctness will be that if you mark floors, there can be collisions. Multiple classrooms can have the same classroom. What I'm doing is I'm having like those distances that I need to maximize, this and then that and so on, and eventually the middle element can be paired up with itself. But I don't think we can do better. If you do things more at random, then still, if you look at every space between two consecutive floors, I don't think it can be crossed more times. There is a way to prove it. I will not go into detail. It relates to length of prefix versus length of suffix, and this is also how you can prove the correctness of algorithm that chooses median for the meeting point. There is this well-known problem that says for n points, so there are n people, I've at position xi, choose such meeting point for them that we minimize the total distance traveled. The total distance traveled. This is a well-known problem where solution is to choose the median. And the proof of correctness for that median is optimal, is also that if we shift it, then it worsens, and we can analyze. Maybe it's a different proof, but we can analyze for every two consecutive spots how many times it's covered. It's not a good analogy. Anyway, I'm going to go with my greedy solution. Luckily, during a contest, you don't need to fully prove. It's not a math Olympiad. What do we output? The indices. We don't even need to compute the sum. I think I would prefer to, as a problem author, I would prefer to require the sum. N groups, M classrooms. For every group, I want to alternate between first and last. I'll use 2 pointers for that, let's say. So I will output repeat 3 times, print first and last. Then if I plus 1 is still smaller than n, then 3 times we repeat the other way around, last and first, with a new line. Now I see that I should have created a function, because now there is 4 lines of copy-pasted code. And I plus equals 2, first plus plus, last minus minus. will be hard to know if it works for the sample test. I mean, no, something is very wrong. I need to go A of first, A of last. Again, if I created a function, it would be easier to correct. Now there is something here. Whether it's correct, there is more than one possible output. Whether it's correct, we will see by submitting. Not good. Maybe I need to look a little bit more. We have this first, last. Then we swap. But one group can use the same classroom multiple times or not? Yes, it's clear from here. 610. Wait, that's... I didn't sort, I see. Also, it's... I think it's too much of a hint that in the last test case they are doing my strategy, so minimum maximum here. As a problem author, I would change this output. It's too much of a hint if somebody analyzes that. Okay, I missed the sort. Something is wrong. This is not the maximum. Last is m-1. So many mistakes. When I was typing nm, I considered that maybe I want to change names because usually size of something, of the data structure, is n, not m. Let's see now. Still wrong answer. Okay. Why am I outputting fewer lines than they do? Because I'm doing I++ here, even though I'm doing I plus equals 2 here. Whoa. I don't remember when I did so many bugs in code last time in such an easy problem. Yeah, I++ in the for loop and I plus equals 2 here. In total, that jumped by 3. So actually, and I should have seen that my output is shorter than their output. I didn't print enough lines. Good thing would be that in a contest, accepted, great, in a contest you're not penalized for wrong answers on one. Code forces should have subtasks like IOI. Not really. I mean, in IOI you have 3 problems per 5 hours. So a lot of time to read and to consider multiple subtasks. And in code forces it's what, like 6-7 problems per 2 hours, 3 hours. So for every problem you have 15 minutes just reading subtasks and considering them. You would spend half of the contest. And for problem authors it's a lot of work. IOI is Olympiad problems are difficult to prepare, especially with good subtasks, because just using smaller n is usually lazy and it boils down to implemented brute force. How are you so nonchalant? That's a bad thing, right? Am I? Which field best aligns with CP? Backend. I mean, okay, low level is also related, but generally backend. Okay, changing the string. And I think then we'll look at puzzle, but not necessarily solve it. We'll see. Quant engineering, yeah, some kind of HFT, quant trading, it's related to algorithms. Changing the string, problem E. I actually don't like string problems, I'm bad at them, but that applies only to hard problems. If the last problem of a contest is about strings, then usually it means I will be worse than others solving it. For something in the middle of a contest, it doesn't matter too much. Given a string S that consists of only 3 letters of the alphabet ABC, I don't like the grammar here. Given a string that has something. You are given a string. Given a string is start of a sentence if then they say your task is to do stuff. I think. I'm not native speaker. Also given are Q operations that need to be performed on the string. In each operation, 2 letters XY from the set of ABC are provided, and each operation one of the following actions must be taken. Change any one occurrence of X to Y. Do nothing. So you can change. When you have operation XY, you can change one X into a Y. The goal is to perform all operations in the given order in such a way that the string S becomes lexicographically minimal. So we minimize first characters. Lexicographically minimal means that, for example, I don't know, zebra is very late in the dictionary because it starts with Z. Dog is before that, cat is before that. Doggo is after dog because it's longer. We sort by first character, then by second, and so on. If there is a tie, then shorter wins. So you start with S, and you have then Q possibilities. You can change B into A, B into C, and so on. But you need to keep in mind that there are operations later on. I feel like maybe we will need to go through the operations backwards. Or maybe we will need to take care of special... we will need to do something special for the first 2 characters. But backwards is my first feel. Because it's more important. It overrides what happened earlier. And depending on that, you will do operations here. C into A. This is always a good thing. A into B. Also, it's important that there are 3 operations. It seems that do we all CA we will do always. If you can do C into A, then you should always do it. Is that correct? Maybe it will hurt. Maybe after that you have A into C and you will be forced to do it because of that. Instead, no, we are not forced to do it, right? Okay, I keep thinking that we need to do it, so we might be hurt by A at the beginning, because if there is operation AC, it will force us to change A into C. But no. So let's see, we have a string, and perfectly we want to change its prefix into values A, then some next few characters into values B, some right? Why would we change something into B? Because it starts as C. So maybe there was a C here. If before that there is A, then it belongs here. If before that there is B, then we can expand. So this is always C. And then where do we apply the C's? Nowhere. There isn't any character that is in the input, and we want to make it into C at the end. So this is what we will achieve. And this is what we did with characters that were initially like this, because if there was A, then we leave it there. Here there could be like B, C, A, B, C. There is some prefix that will change into A's, then some prefix of remaining part that we change into B's, and this remaining part we do not change. First question is how long of a prefix we can change into values A. Oh, I see, one more thing. Because of the... Okay, this is not true. It's not that only we are doing those operations. It might happen that we have a lot of operations that change, for example, C into A. Or maybe better, B into A. Then, if in the input you have something like this, then you will change those into A's, but this will remain unchanged. So this will still be C. So it's not true that I will change some prefix into A's. Can I go from left to right and for the first character first decide if it can become A? Because if it's A from the beginning, I do not touch it. Then can it become A? Either there needs to be at least one operation that changes its original value into A, or I will change it using two operations, B into C and then C into A. Either one will work. Then you're looking at something else and so on. As you keep going, you know how many B's and C's you already changed, and you wonder, can I still continue with this prefix of A's? This C will never change because there isn't any operation that changes it. Or there can be operation C change into B. Tricky. Please only speak English in the chat. I don't want to have no idea what you're typing without using translator. Could observing the thought process of someone really good, solving problems, have good influence on the person observing? Yeah, sure. Though still, solving problems on your own is better practice than watching somebody do it. Though watching somebody do it is easier to do. And it has some entertainment value. Not much though. Can't you for every character check what letters they can be? Yeah, but it's not independent. Wanna begin competitive programming? Go to Code Forces, problem set, sort by difficulty, solve from easiest. Yes, looking for patterns is good. Not good. I'm registering people for the Huawei IOI camp, and once again the link for registration stopped working. I will finish the stream in around half an hour and then fix it. Okay. Again, we go from left to right. Almost always when it's about lexicographically minimizing something. You need to prioritize first characters. You look at B and you want to say, I want to change it into A. So you have information. There is one change like that that you want to achieve. Then you look into at C and you say that I want to achieve the same. A, don't touch. B, C, and so on. So always what we have is, for example, twice I want to achieve this, and 3 times I want to achieve this. You can achieve those with the input operations of changing B into A and C into A, but also you can do it by using the, for example, B into C operation and then C into A. Okay, what about if I don't go from left to right through the string and instead I go through the operations? If I have this string and I get B into A, then I apply it to this character, it's optimal. If I see though C into A, then again, leftmost C I can change into A, no hurt in that. What if I see something else, like B into C or C into B? That's stupid. That's non-stupid. Should I apply this to... So this only makes sense if I want to later change this C into A. So it seems that this you should just remember. Remember about this possibility. If there is C into A later, then something. C into B, you cannot do it greedily. You want to do it only if you will have too many B into A's later, or if you will do nothing with this character anymore. Oh, and you don't know which C to change, because some prefix of C's you will change into A's. This into A, because this is so much better. Then only the next C you want to change into B. Okay, Shiam, timeout. No need to repeat the question multiple times. Of course, timeout is not a ban. It's just like a pause of a few minutes. It seems that I should have solved the problem by now. But this is hard because there are multiple possible approaches. And you need to investigate each one. This joint set, I don't see how that's useful. This joint set makes sense if you know what operations to do and you need to maintain something fast. Basically, here's the trick. As we simulate this process one by one, it's not clear how to achieve the solution in any time complexity. Can't you greedily apply operations by the distinction I said earlier? So I usually, when solving problems, I prefer not to look for hints in the chat. But okay, I will read your suggestion. CBA and BCA are not used together, so maybe use case distinction. Good idea. Indeed. I hope it's a good idea. So those complicated paths, BCA, versus CBA. You're doing it in so complicated way if there is more, or there are just too many of C into A or B into A. This is why you're going around. It doesn't make sense to use this and use this both. If you would use both such triples, then instead you would directly jump from B into A and from C into A. Indeed, we can have two cases, two pieces of code, or just some code running twice, depending on the case, where, for example, we can say we can do this, but we will never do this. What it gives us is that, well, still we can do C into B. But if we can do this, we do. Okay, let's say that we can do this. We can also do B into A directly. I think that will lead to a solution, though I'm not happy that I didn't come up with this idea myself. Whenever we see B into A, in this case, we just use it. Okay, then this is the only chain that can stack. The only thing that where operations interact with each other. For anything else, their positions do not matter. So we can look at all occurrences of these operations and use them. Just the leftmost B change into A. This we do by iterating once through the operations. What about C into B? Should you ever do C change into B? Maybe at the end. Brain hurts from being used. No, this problem is not considered easy. I started an easy contest, some old easy contest. I went through a couple of easy problems, and now we have a hard problem. Would you like one hint? No, not yet. I think that this still will lead to code that is slightly overcomplicated. So Abhinav, not only the number of operations matters, the order of them. So there is Q in the input, and what is the order of those operations that are allowed matters. So when I see the next character here, I have some statistics about this, like, oh, actually so this is what I typed first. That maybe if I know that 5 times I need to change it like that, 7 times I want to change C into A, 2 times I want to change C into B, stuff like that. If I have this, then I wonder if my Q operations allow me to do it. But that I need to fast check it. I need to fast check if something like this is possible. This happens directly. For both of those directly, we use as much as possible. And then it's about first few occurrences. Okay, I think this first idea I had will lead to a solution. We're going through the string from left to right. For every character, I wonder to how small character I can change it. And with that, I update just those 3 counts. This is what I want to achieve. And always, I wonder if this is possible. Just yes or no. Is it possible or not? Now, how do I check it? First of all, in the input, among the Q operations, I keep the count of operations of every type, and I directly use those if I have multiple possibilities of when to use, I will do it in some order. But let's leave that aside for a moment. What else can I do? I can do, after I do directly those operations, I might be left with some more of those required. I think. So maybe I need 2 more times. I need this. I can do it by doing B into C and C into A, which increases where operations of this type, B into C, I can keep sorted of when they are. So B into C operations, I can have vector of indices of occurrences, and it's like 2, 3, 10, and so on, indices among the operations. Then C into A operations, I can also have something like that. Where I have where those are. And I want to pair those up with some suffix here, because this will be easiest. So the operations that I do directly, that will be taken from prefix. Now we wonder if that many can be matched. If those 2 can be matched with those. I think I can, as let's say pre-processing, check how long prefix of this can be matched with suffix of that, so that always those events would be before those. This is in pre-processing, and then when I have this query about how many operations of every type I want to achieve, I will be able in constant time to check if that many from prefix are good against that many of suffix. Because if you take too many from prefix versus suffix, then inequalities will not hold anymore. If someone's rating is X, what's the best problem rating range? X to X plus 500. You should solve problems of such difficulty that sometimes you can solve them and sometimes not. Let's say 50%. Okay, so I think this is correct solution, though I don't like how complicated it is, and I don't know if there is simpler solution. Okay, so for example, donut master, maybe you can tell me, is the solution, intended solution, very different from what I said? So my solution is to collect indices of various operations among the Q operations, do some pre-processing with binary search, so n log n time complexity or Q log Q, to remember, for example, those versus those, how many can interact. And then always as I go from left to right through the string, I decide the destination, what every character will eventually be, and I keep such 3 counts, and I, in complicated way, in constant time, check if that's possible. The solution doesn't seem very different. Okay. No, I'm doing code forces problems today. Okay, I think before implementation I want to take a look at the editorial. I actually used this type of solution, got time limit exceeded on 26, but afterwards used the same solution, doesn't seem too different from yours. Okay, I mean 200. I would be surprised if I got time limit exceeded here, because I think I have just 200,000 times log. Is there a hint? No, there is not. I want to see some prefix of the tutorial. Okay, let's scroll through to see the time complexity. Is there logarithm? Lower bound, I saw log, okay, log. And the editorial is long. But if this is the case, then why is it problem E? Shouldn't it be later? Well, top people solved it in 10 minutes. But many people struggled more. Okay, so it's just a hard problem. I think this problem is too hard for its slot. So then another thing, there should be big drop of solves. Well, still that's a lot. Maybe I should look at during the contest. But I thought that this will be like 5,000 and then 500. Very, very big drop. Okay. Now another thing is, do I want to implement it or do I want to switch contests? I have some time left to continue the stream. I think I don't want to implement it. The fun-ish part was coming up with a solution. I think that I have a correct solution, but now implementation will not be very nice. So maybe I want to see the editorial in a little bit more detail. Why lower bound? No, okay, the solution is not the same. They don't do binary search in advance. As they go, they take earliest of first type and use lower bound to find earliest of the second type. That is afterwards. I think I'm happy just skipping the problem now. I don't like it. Looking at the chat for a moment. Solving along with the stream today, but only managed to submit first problem. You are on P3 by the time I finish P1. Let me try. I like the question. Let me try to answer that. And I think now we will switch to another contest. Let me think. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think it's a good idea during my stream to try to implement solutions on your own. Because I see you use the word submit. If you are doing it along the stream, you shouldn't code. Unless you are very strong. If you're, let's say, not that much weaker than I am in problem solving. Because by coding at the same time, you will do worse understanding the solutions. I assume that majority of people watching the stream are not able to solve problems at the speed I do it. So what you should do is certainly not code it while you listen to. Instead, just focus on trying to understand the solution as much as possible and code if you want after the stream. And what will usually happen is that for some prefix of problems, you will be able to keep up. If not, if for some problem you really feel lost, then try to at least focus on some small techniques that I use, because sometimes I do talk about like smaller sub-problems or stuff like here we can avoid logarithm. Maybe you don't need to understand the full solution and still you will get something. But certainly it's not a good idea to try to keep up and implement. What if you don't understand the editorial? This one I also want to, yeah, absolve after the stream, correct. I also want to answer that. If someone doesn't understand the editorial, mainly there are two explanations. One is that you're trying to solve a problem that is too hard for you. Then the answer is don't do it, skip it, maybe move back to it in a few weeks or months. Second possibility is that the editorial is badly written. If so, look at the comments and look at codes, also submissions from others. And maybe you will be able to understand some gaps in the solution from the code. Okay. I'm switching the contest. Quick look here. Also, anybody has a way to mark problems as I'm not interested in it anymore? Because let's say that puzzles and divisible subarrays were nice problems and I wanted to solve them afterwards. Is there something I can do to mark this problem so that I wouldn't open it in the future, or I wouldn't try to solve it in the future? What's the way to do it? Like, let's say if I open contests and say that I actually solve a lot of problems, which is not the case for me anymore. Let's say that here there is division 2 round, and I maybe decided that I'm not interested in this problem anymore, which is oh yeah, that's the case actually. We talked about a solution and I don't want to solve it. What can I do other than maybe taking the intended solution and copy pasting just to mark this problem as solved? It's cheating in terms of number of accepteds, but I want to mark the problem. Snipping tool available on Ubuntu? No, I don't know how to do it. What you saw me doing is I used snipping tool on Windows, because this here is a virtual machine. You can star it so you can remember it later, like this. You know, star is for nice problems. Ego, you review, please. Is there a mirror already? I mean, when is the mirror of that? Still not announced. Make a mashup and exclude this problem. Okay, so I can do that, but from the contests and from problem set, what do I see? Here I still see this, so I might be tempted to solve this last problem. Snipping tools available on Ubuntu. I believe you. I'm just saying that what I used. Oh, and there was a question, is there snipping tools? So yeah, then apparently the answer, as Nalesh says, is yes, there are. I don't like this star. What I can do is also I can submit incorrect solution. Okay, I think I will live with the fact that problems like that will remain, because I don't want to implement volcanic eruptions. I don't want to implement changing the string either. And as I sometimes say during streams, if you actually are practicing for important contests like IY, ICPC, stuff like that, you care a lot, you want to be the best, then you shouldn't skip ugly problems. Also, how long is the solution? And when I practiced for ICPC, I also did not skip. Okay, it's reasonable. Now, let's skip the problem and let's move on. Do I read messages I get from on Codeforces? Yes, but I don't always reply. Unbalanced binary tree, how to serialize? I think there are many ways. But like, if you go down, put -1. If you go up, put +1. Between, put the value from the node. Okay, what else can we do today? Maybe from this contest. I remember that there was a contest with a single problem remaining. That was an easy problem, I think. Here? Yeah, shrinking array. We can always either do shrinking array, which is division 2b, or we can from here do the first two. How many times this was submitted? So something easy to finish the stream. And then I will talk maybe more about plans for future streams, because this stream today might be the last in the next week because of the IOI camp. This problem is harder. Maybe we'll do all of them, all three. Well, let's see. Deranged deletions. Also, I welcome any recommendations for how I avoid repeated questions of how to reach specialist and how to reach expert and stuff like that. Maybe a comment on Twitch, !expert, and all the comments will redirect to the same link of how to practice. Call an array B a derangement if the following property holds. Copy B into C, sort in non-decreasing order. Co tam? Sort increasingly if B is not C, then this. Okay, this definition says if you sort the array, every element will be on a new different position. Then we call B derangement. It's something that is completely not sorted. The minimum is not on the first slot, second minimum is not on the second slot, and so on. You're given an array. In one operation, you can delete an element. Output where it's possible to perform some operations such that remaining elements form a derangement. You just check if there are two elements that are not sorted. So greater element than smaller. If so, I hate this problem. So they are talking about deleting elements, and we want to achieve something that is very much not sorted. Then if there is any unsorted part, I can just leave those two elements. So I'm just going to say read everything. If this element is greater than next, then yes, else no. No, yes, no. Oh, we need to output. What do we output? The indices, elements that remain in the array. Let's see if I get accepted, then I will complain. Yeah, okay. I think this is like the worst possible problem for this slot. Statement is hard to understand. It seems very artificial. A lot of math formulas. Like, think about somebody in middle school, let's say high school, who is starting with programming and they see this problem. They will be so, I don't know, discouraged from trying. And then we talk about erasing elements. Like for me as somebody experienced, I don't care about solving this in a competition. It took me a minute to understand. I knew immediately how to solve whatever. The quality of a problem like division 2a is about what it is for people who will solve it and for whom it was not trivial. And for those people, I think it's a very, very ugly problem. Maybe some people will say that this is a nice, beautiful observation that only two elements should remain and stuff like that. But for people for whom it's not trivial, the statement is crazy hard to understand, I think. So as a coordinator, I would not accept this problem. Problem differs from problem G. Sure. You must output the minimum. You're given an array. Here's the problem link. Maybe I should keep a spreadsheet where I give notes to problems, and I think how good this problem is for its slot, so for people for whom this is a challenging problem. Software engineer, but at problem solving really need a few minutes to understand. That's fine. Usually statements require several minutes, unless you already solved 5,000 problems. There are elements from 0 to n. You can perform the following operation at most once. Choose two indices and increase first by the second, then the second set to 0. So the second element you transform somewhere to the left. Output the minimum possible value of the sum of prefix minima. You minimize the sum. Doesn't it mean that you need to do something close to the end? Maybe it's just optimal to move the last element to this. Preferably you don't want to do this. But maybe there is a 0, maybe there are multiple zeros. My first thought was last element you move to the second last element, but I don't think it's correct. Wait, what about this? Maybe second element you need to move to first. If you have 5, 5, 5, 5, you can transform second into first, and you have 10, 0, 5, 5. And then almost all the prefix minima are equal to 0, which is very nice. Can I do something better here? Does it work for samples? Well, I might not transfer everything like we see here. Maybe it's true that we only transform between first and second, but not always everything. We can transform less. If there is, let's say, 7, 3 and then stuff, then transferring one unit from here to there increases this prefix by 1, but this prefix decreases by 1. So it's optimal to send everything. If this is the case though, then transferring hurts. Because right now the prefix minima is 3 and 3. If you transfer, it's 4 and 4, so it's worse. If you need to transfer here, it would need to be... Oh, we transfer everything. I thought that we can partially transfer. Okay, my bad. Is 10, 0 better? Well... Here we have 3 plus 3, which is 6. Here we have 10 plus 0, which is worse. If we have a lot of big elements later, then this works. What about this? If there is some element, and from that element you want to shift to the left, is it optimal to always shift to your left neighbor? Because from now on this will be 0, so all the prefix minima for those guys will include the 0, so that's great. You want in this prefix to shift into such element that it affects the answer as little as possible. When you say easy, what is the rating of the problem that you consider easy? Chandu, it's relative. I don't have particular range. If you're talking about the title of the stream, it's not the defined range, but it's division to contests and not the last problems in such contests. And when the title of the stream says hard or division 1, it means that I don't expect beginners to understand anything. Maybe in the future I will be more specific, but for platforms other than Codeforces, you don't have some objective difficulty. Even in Codeforces, you don't have objective difficulty. It's interesting that I struggle on this problem a lot. I'm sure the solution will be trivial. Okay, what about this? What if for every element, I think if I shift into this element from somewhere on the right, then from where I should shift? So this element will get some value. No, that's tricky, because depending on what element it is, I will get here different amount, so the minimum in the prefix will be affected in a different way. Let's make sure that it is sometimes optimal not to shift to your left neighbor. I think if this is a 0, this is a... no, this is maybe 5, 0. This is 10. Then why would you shift? What about this? Well, this is an easy problem, and I don't see a solution. So what if I just try that? I will try a solution of we always shift by 1 to the left. Yeah, I don't know. And this is what I would do at this point during a contest. If I for 5 minutes couldn't solve a problem that should be easy for me, then maybe it's good to take a guess, because the solution cannot be too complicated, or shouldn't be. For every element, let's do it like this. Maybe shift a of I plus 1 into ai. Okay, then so far we had some prefix minima. So far. This is some so far, and this is prefix minimum. By default, some kind of infinity. So maybe do this. If that's the case, then so from now on prefix minimum, or maybe we have the sum so far plus there will be ai plus 1. This is the new element here at position I. If I take its minimum with pref min, then this is the sum up to I, and all the following sums will be 0, because there will be 0 at position I plus 1. The answer I can minimize with that. Then after that, prefix minimum minimize with the value ai. Here I don't anymore consider shifting. I say maybe I will shift later. So let's keep going. So far plus equal pref min. At the end, output the answer. So I did that for all the elements. And finally, once more I want to do it for the last element. And this is also a possible answer. I don't know if I implemented it correctly, but let's see what examples tell me. 2 to 3, that works. Now, was the solution correct? Submit. Yeah, I think it's 50-50. Okay, works. Why is it correct? Write some examples of arrays down. Huh. You remember how I said that maybe we will only touch the first 2 elements? Maybe that's optimal. So I wrote a solution where we consider for every 2 neighboring elements we consider the shift. Something simpler is true. And this is why it's simpler to analyze. Maybe I should have tried harder with those examples to create a counterexample, because I wrote some stuff down, but I think I didn't do much with that. I actually don't know what I did with the examples. Now, because I recorded myself, again, if I practiced much and I cared about my performance in contests, I think I would later view the recording and I would try to think critically, what did I actually do when writing down examples? Because in this problem it was good that I wrote down some examples, but I didn't do enough with them. Because I didn't get a simple observation that nothing else is needed, only do this thing, where you shift between first and second element. If A1 is greater than A2, so if there is 7, 3, then this is only better to move into 10, 0. Yeah, that's I agree with. And from now on we will have zeros. And the proof here is that you cannot achieve better than the sum of them. Because if you don't touch those, or you shift something from the right into here, then the sum of 10 you already have. Then if 3, 7, then it's optimal to shift. Okay, it's not entirely true that we only touch first two elements. We can shift third into second. Then maybe I realized that, and from now on I thought that it's not so simple. Yeah, maybe that's what happened. So maybe you shift this, maybe you shift that, and from that I assume that it will continue. Hence then the guess that you will shift between neighbors. So you shift this, and then, but wait, what's the answer? The answer is 3 twice, and then do, okay. So this way you get the answer of 7 plus 3, and here you get the answer of 3 plus 3. And it can be proved that nothing better is possible. Okay, the proof is easy. I see how I... okay, I will vote great problem, because I struggled with it. So it's a trivial problem where I struggled. So for me, good problem. What about deranged deletions? Oh, I will rate a bad problem. Right? It was the one, yeah, that bad problem. Great problem. I will vote on others because I solved them before. Multiply. I remember I overcomplicated a little bit, but it seemed a fine problem. So good. Make a palindrome. Okay, it was good. Yeah, good. Make it 0. Oh, I remember, it was crazy easy for me. So rate the problem. Yeah, it was okay. Too easy for the slot, for me. Maybe I'm too harsh. You can use insert button for ease of to remove this. I wonder what AKC wanted to say earlier. If you mean that when I'm doing something like that and I want to replace a single character like this and I do a 5, this is what you were talking about? Because marking and typing is fine if that's what you were saying. Versus if I hit insert to replace, then I need to remember to hit insert back, and that's annoying. Okay, so 2 problems solved, and there was that other contest where I have 1 problem remaining, shrinking array. So let's do it and wrap this up. Oh yeah, then I'm aware of insert. I sometimes do it, for example, when I work with a grid. If I type like this and I want to replace some characters, then I will use insert and do this stuff, not to mess up the grid. But for a sequence I usually prefer to mark and replace by using arrows. So this you can do with keyboard easily. Okay, last problem today. It may be last problem this week. Let's call an array beautiful if it consists of at least two elements and there is a position where two neighboring elements differ by at most one. Okay. You're given an array, and while it has at least two elements, perform the following operation. Choose two adjacent elements, choose a value between them, remove the values ai and ai plus 1, and insert the number x in their place. So, for example, if there is 5, 15, you can remove them and just leave 8. You had this, you have that. You can in particular change both into a single 5. Minimum number of operations required to make the array beautiful. If there is this sequence, then I can achieve the target in one operation. I change this into an 8. If the sequence is increasing, like so, then it will keep being increasing. So I think if the sequence is increasing, we output -1. -1 increasing sequence, yeah. I think the answer is just always 0 or 1. So if increasing, then -1. If already there are two neighboring elements that differ by at most 1, then you don't need any operations. And finally, if it's not increasing, then there is at least one situation where it's something small, big, small, let's say, or the other way around. And then, so like, let's say this is 100, and then one of those values is smaller than the other, like 50 versus 20. And then the one that is further away from 100, you collapse those two into 50. Okay, not an interesting problem. But it's fine. We need to check if it's increasing or decreasing. By default, increasing is true, decreasing is true. If a of I is smaller than next, then this is not decreasing anymore. If greater, then not this anymore. Also, if two consecutive values differ by at most 1, then immediately we print 0. Finally, if increasing or decreasing, then -1, else 1. Works for the sample test. Spent 8 hours on minimize sum. Took you a couple of minutes, but I was very happy after solving this. Ended up using prefix array and array that tracks the minimum number so far. So here's the thing. If you enjoyed the process of solving it and it took 8 hours, then great, good for you. But keep in mind that this is not efficient way of practicing. You shouldn't spend 8 hours on a problem unless it's meant to be a very complicated problem with multiple steps. So for efficiency, you should have given up after 1 hour and look for some hints or just leave the problem for later. But that being said, again, if this is your hobby and you enjoy this, perfectly fine. For example, I actually sometimes like playing video games on too high of a difficulty and I keep losing then. That's fine, I think, if I enjoy it. Though that actually might be good for improving. Unless you set the difficulty too high, then it's not good anymore. Tell us about future streams. Yeah. All in the analysis of the problem. Chandu, what you're referring to? All in the analysis of the problem? What I used? I used Polish platforms before CodeForces. I was in school, I didn't speak English good. Or, well, I still don't. Right, let's talk about future streams also. How does the problem set look like for me now? Solved a bunch of easy problems. One contest without ratings. Okay. So something about, let's talk a little bit now. This will be just some random thoughts about future streams. I will tell you a bunch of stuff. I happily accept any feedback, both now in the chat and later in comments below. Polish platforms, you know, I practiced on Polish platforms 15 years ago. Those platforms partially don't exist anymore. Certainly, it's not that you should seek them. Okay, so a few things is that I think I'm okay with during a stream mostly taking some contest and solving problems from there. Though also we need to distinguish between weekend and weekday. So Monday to Friday versus weekend. Weekend will be more educational stream. I can prepare. So I'm okay spending some time and preparing before the stream. Monday to Friday, I will not prepare. So just open OBS and go. I'm doing this for free, and I'm not willing to spend several hours a day preparing for something. Okay, so that's some difference. For Monday, Friday, I will keep this time. I'm happy with the time, so this will be for me 3 p.m. To at most 5 p.m. Central European time, like today. For weekends, it can vary. Time varies. And on weekends, sometimes I can do topic stream. It can be CSES category, a USACO guide topic, in particular from Platinum and Advanced, I think. Monday to Friday, usually it will be some CodeForces / AdCoder contest. And always before the stream, it will be announced that will be easy stream or hard stream. Like today, it was supposed to be easy, so I only looked at Division 2 problems, and I was going to solve problems that I almost immediately can solve. And I don't struggle too much. In a hard stream, I still have some doubts about that. Weekend? Yeah, thanks. Wait, what? I didn't misspell. I thought that I misspelled. Weekend, I see. Oh, so you misspelled on purpose in the chat. Okay. Quick look at the chat. Oh, I see Chandu. Okay, I got it. Hinamshu, I don't think it's a good strategy to give up on a problem and then end up not practicing for days. I think it's way better to accept the fact that sometimes you can skip a problem and be lazy about it. Division 2D or E in easy stream? I think today I attempted Division 2D. The way I'm practicing in the past couple of weeks does not affect my chances of returning to LGM much because I'm solving easy problems. Being Legendary Grandmaster is about solving hard problems too, and during streams I'm not doing that. I don't know matroid intersection, so I will not teach you that. It's one of few topics that I know nothing about. I have no idea what matroid intersection is, and I've never used it. There are many topics where I'm bad at, like suffix array, flows, some parts of number theory. Still, I used them in the past. I know something about them. I know nothing about matroid intersection. I'm not sure if there is CP topic that I know less about. Okay. I have some thoughts about hard streams. Is that I'm not sure I like the fact that if I stream on YouTube and Twitch, 90% of people who will open the stream will not understand much. So, and in particular, there's also the chat, and many people in the chat, they will ask questions where clearly the stream is not for them. So I'm not sure what to do about it. So this is open question. And I have some idea. Let me share it with you. And again, I welcome any feedback. I'm thinking that maybe I want to do something like this. I still want to, like, okay, first, what my idea is that this will be closed like something on Discord server, but very cheap. So for maybe, $5 a month, you have access to those streams that I do, once a week or so, something like that. Where the only idea of that is that it's not available to everybody out there. So if a random person opens the Twitch stream and they will start asking questions, I think it's perfectly fun, though still for me it's a little bit of spam and I cannot focus and actually solve hard problems. Also, those streams, they are extremely boring, I'm sure, for many people. But I still, and I don't know if this should be about the chat only, or maybe only those who are in this Discord server, they attend the stream and later I upload recording. And now I'm not talking about, solving division 1 ABC. I'm talking about, I did that in the past, where I would open AdCoder Grand Contest and I would solve 1 or 2 problems for 2 hours. Just really struggling, just practicing, me practicing. I don't know, it's an idea, but I'm not doing it efficiently during a stream. Many viewers will also kind of waste their time, or they will not spend time efficiently viewing that and asking questions about it. Chandu, one hard problem every end of a stream is a very bad idea, because I often want to end the stream because of something and I want to have control on it. A hard problem can take arbitrary amount of time. So imagine that, so why hard problem bad at the end of stream? Imagine that I want to stream for 2 hours and then after, let's say, 1 hour 20 minutes, I go to hard problem. What happens is then I hope that I will solve it in 40 minutes. And most of the time, either I will solve it way earlier or I will solve it way later, because it's very random. No, I don't think that adding a hard problem at the end of a stream is a good idea. No, I think paying solves the problem. I mean, you should know what you're paying for, and I can kick you out. By the way, still, I will still do paid classes where it's way more expensive. But this is about something where there is something I don't like about the current format. I talked about reasons for this. Which contest will be solved in Monday to Friday? Maybe that's a good idea. I will add this. I should announce which contest in advance. Yeah, I agree with what CJ said. Could we send you some original interview questions? No, I don't have time to review that. Starting from next month, I'm going to do paid lead code classes where we solve lead code weekly contests, for example. And there in the Discord server, you can send me those original problems. Maybe I will from time to time help solve them. Though after some time, I don't want to help live. And this, for sure, I don't want to do this for easy streams. For collaborative problem solving, it sounds good, but I think harder to organize. Let me see. Most of the people listening to the streams to learn, listen to your streams to learn. I guess around 70% of people are beginners. I guess. Because you know what I also consider is sometimes really doing a hard problem. Sometimes it's nice and it's beneficial for me, for my shape in problem solving, to do a problem that will take me hours. And then 90% of people will not keep up. Pasjansik, I don't know the matching between Olympiads versus Code Forces, sorry. Collaborative problem solving, you can pick one of your viewers and make him her solve the problem live. No, I will not experiment with that. For sure not a random viewer. If that would be the case, then yeah, it's too unpredictable. Both in terms of content and just how dangerous it is for the stream. Glamp, yeah, sure, hard problems are great. Around a specific topic, that too, just not all the time. You shouldn't take a topic and keep grinding the topic. Do a few problems, then switch to something else. Okay. So what else? What else? Oh, the weekend, those streams will be no chat on the screen, and I answer only topic related questions. This is something where I want to recommend people that if they miss a stream, they should watch it. And here, actually in both for sure, at the beginning / end maybe end, Q&A. At the beginning especially, because then people keep joining and it's bad to join in the middle of solving a problem. I can sometimes do specific stream for people asking questions, but it will not solve the issue of new people asking questions. What else? What else? Okay, regarding that, tell me if you see any difference between those two possibilities. Let's say that for first possibility, there is private stream in Discord server, later uploaded to YouTube as a recording. That's possibility number one. Possibility number two, there is public stream with chat turned off. Only special people can use the chat. Only some people can use the chat. Maybe the chat will be only on Discord. On Twitch, I don't really want to turn on subscriptions because there are some disadvantages to that, like ads. Okay. In both cases, there is some small group where I know that they want to practice hard topics. And now the question is one version here better than the other? Will you try hosting a mini contest and then start the stream editorial afterwards? That's time consuming. No. I'm not going to create contests from scratch for paid users. No, it's too much work. Choosing old problems, sure. Why is second option better? If you cannot ask questions, also some people might get confused. On Twitch, can you even turn off the chat? No. Put chat in emote only mode? Is there something like that? Oh. Emote only mode. Yeah, I will try to announce problems in advance. I'm not looking now to new ways to do entertainment kind of streams. I want to maximize the educational aspect, not entertainment. If I have time and will to do it, the next thing that I will do regarding that more of showmanship will be getting back to the lockout contests. I like those. I will host a lockout competition. I will invite like 4 or 8 people and I will commentate on the matches. I see, in Twitch there is followers only mode, that will not help. Sub only mode, I don't want to turn on subscriptions. Unless I need to. Okay, I think I want to finish the stream now. I didn't reserve that much time today. Option 1 is better. But why? Most people said option 2. I didn't see many arguments. For option 1, somebody already said that in Discord server people are more dedicated or something like that. Explain people's doubts while solving. Solve problems in stream and focus more on solving and explaining and less doubts in the chat. Explain people's doubts makes sense if I know the level of the people. So historically what I find most efficient, what is best is on-site teaching in terms of answering questions and stuff like that. When I have, let's say, a group of students that are preparing for an Olympiad and I know their level, it can be during a camp or some regular classes in Warsaw. So like in some high school in Warsaw, I did 3 classes every week a few years ago. If I know those people, I know their level, I see their faces when I explain stuff, this is the best. This is the best teaching. I perfectly know if something is too difficult for them or not. The next level is online teaching with cameras on when I see faces of people. Next is, let's say, Discord server where I know them, but they only can type with text. And then, Twitch and YouTube open streams is the very worst in terms of me knowing how much I should explain. Can people speak here? If it's a very small group, yes, but also people wouldn't like it. I think people prefer to use text if it's all being recorded or streamed at the same time. So let's say in this case, it would be text. Okay, I will finish now. Please, if you have further thoughts, put them in the comments on YouTube. I will read that, and I spent time thinking about how to improve stuff. I want to keep streaming in the coming months, and I just want to improve it. Make it minimal fee and private. I mean, I would prefer to keep it public, at least the recordings. Oh, well, we'll see. Okay, thank you everybody for watching, and I'm reading thanks in the chat, so you're welcome too. Have a good day, and see you maybe this Sunday, but also maybe just next weekend or something like that on Code Forces. Check out. Oh, I see that Jonathan is solving EGOI problems. I need to check out what that is right now, because I considered also using that for the IOI camp. Okay, here are my blogs. So if you're IOI participant, then join this camp for free. Consider the DP classes, and there is my schedule of streams. Nothing will happen for the next few days because of the IOI camp.